Oh hey, funny seeing you here. This is a more of a relaxed video talking about my learnings of 2020 and I guess what has happened. Basically, this is a conversation with you about this year. So yeah, let's get into it. Let me know in the comments how your year has gone, what has happened to you, what challenges have you faced, because let's face it, everybody has faced some challenges, and what changes, what adaptations did you have to make? I started this year as a digital nomad, traveling and exploring the world with her boyfriend, and ended up as a married immigrant paying a mortgage. I feel like that's a very 180 kind of change, but I'm not complaining. Okay, I'm recording the voice, yeah. This is so casual, so behind the scenes. I love it. I don't have a script for this video. I do have like bullet points. I can show them to you. Here they are, very basic kind of planning. So it's gonna be a very casual, very just, like a talking video. Let me know what you think about this format, and also, again, tell me about your year. I want to learn about how you are doing and how things are going. What are your learnings from this year? It's been a crazy one. And also, if you're helping to reflect on the year and plan for 2021, I have a separate video for you, which I will leave in one of those corners, so go and find it. It's gonna be very nice and help you set up for a successful and fulfilling 2021. But back to 2020. Yeah, the year started completely differently, and I didn't think that I'd be where I am right now. I'm super grateful for my situation and my health, the health of my loved ones, for having a home and being able to pay a mortgage, having my job, stable income. That has been incredible. And I feel like this year has made us much more grateful for the things that we normally would have taken for granted, just like those things. And I was talking to my mom about this. It's crazy how it really has brought it back to basics. So I think learning number one from this year is that your health and your family always come first. I feel like that is the very basic. Oh, and the health of your loved ones, the health of your friends and family and their loved ones. Basically, the health of the circle around that circle, if that makes sense. But it really is number one priority for me, at least, and that has been my biggest learning, that comes first. And I really hope to take that into 2021, 2022, 23, and etc. all of my life. I really want to take that learning away and really live my life having that at the core of my priorities. My loved ones, my family, and their health, and my health as well, and taking care of that, because it's crazy how much we take that for granted. And when we don't appreciate it until we have it lost. And I think a lot of us this year, a lot of us who are fortunate to still have our health, to still have our family members, we started appreciating it without having to lose somebody. So yeah, it's been a wake-up call, I think. Learning number two is that we have to be adaptable. I mean, this year has thrown so much stuff at us, and it really showed us how everything we know about the world can change like this. Yes, it takes a very global, crazy event to do that, but it can change. And it's interesting. I was listening to one of the meditations on a meditation app that I was using, and it said, why do we assume that life will default to the good, like something that we have in our heads? Why are we complaining that life isn't defaulting to that good that we have in our head, that visualization? Because we have to proactively make it that good. And I think that those things, like being able to adapt to change and not taking life as, the default is going to be good, I think combining those two is really powerful, at least for me, in terms of you have to be adaptable and you have to make your own life. Like, It is ultimately your decision how you react to the things that life throws at you. Yes, you're not in control of external circumstances. You're not in control of the coronavirus, right? But you are in control of how you react to how it affects you. You are in control to how you live your life, how you build your business, how you build your career, etc. You are in control of those decisions, of those everyday decisions, and those everyday decisions are the ones that are driving your success, that are driving you towards where you either want or don't want to be. And so, since you are in control, might as well take it and adapt to the circumstances and get ready to be flexible, because yeah, life is not a smooth ride. Life is not going to default to what is good for you. Life requires you to actually act and go out there and be hungry and all those things. Learning number 3, offline activities and interactions are huge and are incredibly meaningful. I feel like this year we've been on a diet from social interaction that is in person, and I don't even know how people who were isolated by themselves did it. Luckily, I had my husband throughout it. Started with a boyfriend, then moved on to fiance. He proposed to me during a lockdown. We were locked down in Chile. It was like 2.5 weeks of just super strict lockdown where we couldn't even go out to the store. Like we could go out to the store twice a week, and we needed a police note. Like we could get it online, like submitting a form online, but we couldn't go to the store to get groceries more than 2 times a week, let alone go outside for a walk. So it was just a crazy time. We were walking around our apartment to just get steps in, and things like that. And he just proposed to me on a random Sunday in the middle of a lockdown, I guess. You know, if we didn't kill each other during that time, that meant we should probably continue being together after, well, at the time it was like 6.5 years. All right, I'm blabbing. But I was so lucky to have him, and I am super grateful to have his company and for his support throughout this time, because man, like social interactions, they're so important. We're social beings, right? We need that. It's one of those basic needs, and this year made me stop taking that for granted. And especially with my family, because they're in Russia and I'm in the US right now. And I haven't seen them for over a year, and I don't know when I'm going to see them next. It could be another year, or it could be longer. Hopefully not. But social interaction and offline activities, something like with nature, going for a hike, or going for just a walk. It's so important. And, like disconnecting from technology. We've been so connected this year that it has been overwhelming, I think, because, I don't know, like it sucks us in and we don't feel present because there's just so much competing information competing for your attention, and therefore you're just like all over the place when you're using technology. A lot of the time, like, technology and mindfulness are like the opposite things, and nature promotes mindfulness, and like in-person interactions promote mindfulness. So in 2021, I'm going to be much more intentional about my offline time and about my social interactions, like in-person social interactions. I already do my best to have my phone down already when meeting with people. Well, when I used to meet with people, and put my phone down, like, so I don't see the notifications, so I don't get distracted, because we do get distracted. It's human. It's like a dopamine fix, like somebody liked your photo or something. I'm gonna be much more intentional about that, about spending time in nature, about being present, about being offline, and about that human connection, because it's so important. Learning number 4 is that mindset is everything. So this year I read 2 amazing books. I'm finishing my 20th book right now of the year, and I know that's not super impressive at all, but my goal is to finish off the year with 24 books, because I'm hoping that things slow down for me. Actually, no, I'm going to make things slow down for me at the end of the year. I'll talk about boundaries later, but I will create boundaries so that I create that time for myself to read. So I'm hoping to end up the year with 24 books that I've read or listened to, because I'm dyslexic, so I like consuming content in different formats. That is how I've been reading a lot of books lately. Yeah, so there were 2 books out of the ones that I've read today, this year. One of them is called The Happiness Advantage. It's by Sean Aker. And the other one is Mindset by Carol Dweck. And, it's all about mindset. They both talk about how, Sean Aker talks about the 7 principles that will make you happier, more productive, etc., etc. And essentially, it's all about mindset in his book, and it's all about creating happiness for yourself, not seeking happiness in your surroundings, external circumstances itself, etc., but creating patterns that will enable you be more successful, enable you to become more successful. Super insightful. Like if this is something that you're interested in, highly recommend The Happiness Advantage by Sean Aker. Great book. Also, I love his humor. It's very similar to my humor. It's kind of like self-deprecating, which I don't know if it's a good thing, but like I guess it makes you more approachable. I don't know. That's my theory about it, because I'm like, you know what? I'm not bringing myself down. I'm making myself more approachable. But the other one is Mindset by Carol Dweck, and it's all about the growth mindset. And it talks about the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. And one of the things that I found very insightful from that, because I knew about growth mindset before, and you might be watching this and you might be like, I don't need to read about it. I know about it. But I highly recommend to read this book to everyone. Like, my mom just read it and she is recommending it to everyone. It's amazing. It makes me so happy. I recommended it to everyone too. It's a great book. But it talks about how you can have a growth mindset in certain areas of your life, but then you can also have a fixed mindset when it comes to certain areas of your life too, the other areas. So for example, you might have a growth mindset when it comes to your career. You might have a growth mindset when it comes to your mathematical skills. But then you might have a fixed mindset when it comes to your creative skills. You might think, oh, I don't have the talent, I wasn't born with it when it comes to painting, Yeah, you may have not been born with a predisposition to it, but if you put in time and effort, you will expand your skills and your talents, etc. It's all about mindset. I'm not going to go into details, but it's super interesting. And I also talked about fixed mindset versus growth mindset in a video called Are You Smart Enough to Learn How to Code? I will leave it in the description and also in one of those corners. So if you want to learn more, go watch that video. It's all about self-doubt and basically feeling like you're not good enough at something and not starting something because of the fear of not being good enough, and etc. But it's all about mindset. It's all about how you approach something. It's all about your perception of the topic. It's all about your perception of your life, your circumstances, etc. And the thing is, you are in control of your mindset, which means that you're in control of, the first thing that we talked about, like your reactions to things. You are in control. You just have to take that control. You have to own it. And you have to be proactive and intentional about it. So that was a very interesting takeaway. I mean, I was kind of there already, but this year really solidified that in my head. And I am going to preach this for years and years to come. It's all about mindset. It's all in your head. And the moment you want to change it, things will follow, it will be a domino effect. But unless you change your mindset, nothing's going to happen. It's all in your head. It's all in your head. I mean, I started running this year. I hated running, despised it. I tried running so many times. Like the first time I tried to run, I was 15, 16. I was in the boarding school. So I would go out every morning and I would go and go for a run. I hated it. And even though it was I went to a boarding school in England, in the Midlands, and at some point it got really nice in the spring, and There were, oh my God, what is that flower called? Dandelions? Dandelions? I'm mispronouncing this one. Dandelions, I believe. Dandelions and growing in the wild. And also hyacinth. I love hyacinths. Their smell is amazing. And also little bunnies, you know, like it was just like this like morning sunshine with all these flowers and smells and bunnies, and I'm running there and I hated every single minute of it because I hated running. And then this year, because you can't go to the gym, I started running outside. And that was difficult. And then, but I pushed myself, and then we got a treadmill when we got this place, and I started running with a program, with a trainer, and she was increasing the difficulty every single time, and I was like, yeah, I did this one. I did this. I ran at this pace for 25 minutes straight. I know it was an achievement for me, for 25 minutes straight, and I was proud of myself. And that started changing my mindset about running. And from my belief that I hate running and I'm bad at it, because that was my belief, I started shifting little by little to, you know what, I'm actually good at this. And then yesterday I ran for the first time with the same instructor. It's basically you have like a TV screen in your treadmill and the instructor is running in front of you and you're kind of like, all right. And then the instructor and the program changes the pace and the incline of the treadmill. And yesterday I shifted the pace and I was ahead of the trainer, and that was for intermediate runners. And I felt so proud of myself. You know what? I can't wait to run today because I'm going to prove to myself, it's going to be hard, don't get me wrong. I'm going to be sweating, I'm going to be breathing hard, but I'm going to prove myself that I can do it once again. And it's all about mindset. It's crazy. Next one, learning number 5, boundaries, 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 boundaries. I mean, I was learning how to say no before, but this year I have read, I think, 2 books on how to say no and also Essentialism by Greg McKeown. Pronunciation is not my thing. And it was amazing. Like when I read it, I immediately eliminated certain projects, and in that case, at that time, I eliminated my merch store because at the time it didn't make sense. Maybe I will come back to having merch later down the line when I have a team, etc., when I have stuff to focus on, but it was taking so much of my attention and I had to deal with VAT and like all of these like crazy admin things, you know, like, and the merch store wasn't really returning anything to me. So it was just like, it was not part of my priorities. And I was like, you know what? Filter it out. Say no to it. And I publicly said, I'm not going to do this project anymore. I publicly rejected it. I started being much more comfortable with saying no. And again, if that's something that you're interested in, I have a video about how to say no. I'll leave it in one of those corners and also in the description. And it's a skill. It takes practice to practice the phrases that work well for you, where you don't feel like, what's a swear? How can I replace the swear word that is coming in my head? The bad person that you might be feeling by saying no, you know, like you can say it eloquently. You don't have to just be rude to the other person, you know? So I started practicing that much more, and now there's certain opportunities that are coming my way that I would say yes to earlier, but I just know that I don't want to spend my energy on them, and it's absolutely fine to say no. Absolutely fine to say no. I just became much more selective about what I do, and I started setting boundaries in both setting and communicating boundaries in both professional and personal life. I read another book, another amazing book on your boundaries. Yeah, I'm keeping this PG, and it's very hard to find the like nice bleep out sound, or at least I couldn't do it in like 5 minutes at some point. So you know what? Unbleep. It is. But it was so interesting how the author, Dr. Faith G. Harper, so she talks about boundaries and what types of boundaries there are, and you know, like when it comes to different areas of our life, like intellectual boundaries, spiritual boundaries, physical boundaries, etc., etc. And she also talks about types, a different category of types, if that makes sense. I don't remember, there was a rigid one, there was one that was flexible, and there was a permeable one. I don't remember exactly how she puts it, but it was basically a boundary that's not really there. And she also talks about communicating your boundaries, because unfortunately, unless you communicate it, the other person will not be able to guess what that boundary is. And in order to be able to communicate that boundary, you have to actually sit down and reflect on your boundaries. Like, what are your boundaries? And are they flexible? Or are they rigid? Or are they, you know, like soft? And like, where do you want them to be? So that was a very interesting book. Again, I highly recommend it. We'll link it in the description. I will link all of the books that I've mentioned here today in the description. I recommend all of them really highly. It was a very interesting book about boundaries. Highly recommend it to anyone who is struggling with this. And yeah, just you have to make sure that you communicate them properly, because you can't expect other people to respect your boundaries unless you communicate them. A great quote that I just heard in the book that I'm listening to right now, which is the book that I'm listening to right now is The Coaching Habit. The quote is by George Bernard Shaw. It goes like this: "The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place." Yeah, so when communicating your boundaries, you gotta make sure that there are no illusions, that it has taken place, and that everybody is on the same page about what's going on. Anyway, I should end this. This is probably way too long. But yeah, those were my learnings from 2020. Those are my takeaways. Let me know in the comments if you've had any similar ones, what you think about what I've said in this video, and also how was your 2020? What were your learnings, and what are you going to do differently? What are you going to take into 2021, or what are you not taking into 2021. And again, if you like to do some planning for 2021 and reflection, there is a video for that. And I'm also doing a reflection challenge, a 3-day reflection challenge if you're interested. It's basically a free challenge for anyone who wants to reflect and wants some structure. Once you sign up, you're gonna get three days of emails with templates for reflection. So you can just, they're Google Docs, and you can just create a copy of the Google Docs and fill them out yourself, or just, you know, use the questions as the prompts. And I'm also sending templates for social, for stories that you can fill out and tag your friends, etc. Because there's a part about, you know, what or who are you grateful for this year, and that's a wonderful opportunity to recognize your friends and, you know, tell them once again why you love them. Thank you for staying with me all this time. Like, this has been a very fun video. I normally edit out when I'm mispronouncing things, or when I'm I don't know, when my grammar is not correct. Or when I get lost, just like what I did now. So this is going to be an experiment, but I don't know, this is part of my personality, and I have been kind of hiding it because it has been trying to be super proper with my hand moment. All right, okay. You know what? Thank you for watching. Like this video if you've enjoyed it, and comment under. I'm super curious to know how your year went. And we can also be friends on other social media. You can find me as Coding Blonde. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, you know what to do. That subscribe button is waiting for you. It is just calling your name. And of course, turn on the bell notification. Have a wonderful time today you're currently experiencing.